"It's a lie!" Evan shouted, but the panic was evident. He lunged for my phone, but his own mother, finally seeing the ruin he had brought, stepped in his path. "You told me the company was thriving!" she cried. "You told me we were secure." I kept my voice calm, cold, cutting through the chaos. "The empire you built, Evan, was built on my family's credit, my connections, and capital that was never truly yours. Every major contract for the past 5 years came through Yates Holdings. The terms included a clause you never bothered to read: a full reversion of assets and control upon proof of fiduciary malfeasance or personal conduct damaging to the Yates reputation." I let my gaze sweep over Sophie. Adultery with my lifelong friend, publicly humiliating me, conspiring to defraud me of my marital assets. I'd call that damaging. Sophie found her voice, a shrill, desperate thing. "You can't do this. I'm carrying his child. You'll be destroying your own." "Your own." "My own what?" I finished for her, my head tilting. That child is nothing to me. And as of this moment, Evan is nothing. He owns nothing. The penthouse, the cars, the shares, the bank accounts, all tied to the company or funded by my family's trusts. They're frozen. Or rather, I corrected, a small, icy smile touching my lips. They're mine again. Evan stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. The gentle, accommodating, child-free wife was gone. In her place was the heiress raised in boardrooms, the woman he'd underestimated completely. "You planned this," he breathed. "You knew. And you let me." "I needed you to say it all in front of everyone," I confirmed, looking at our stunned mutual friends, at his family. "I needed witnesses to your grand declaration, to your confession. It makes the legal process so much cleaner." Just then, the heavy oak doors to the dining room opened. 2 men in suits stood there, flanked by my personal lawyer. "Evan Ellis?" one said, his tone professional and devoid of emotion. "We have a court order to secure all financial records and digital devices from the Ellis Corporation headquarters, as well as from your personal residences. We also have a temporary restraining order barring you from accessing any company facilities or accounts." The other man looked at Sophie. "Miss Sophie Reed? You are named as a co-conspirator in the civil suit regarding the misappropriation of funds. Your personal accounts linked to Mr. Ellis have been frozen pending investigation." The room erupted. Friends scrambled back, phones came out. Evan's mother burst into hysterical tears. Arthur simply closed his eyes, a single tear tracing the deep lines of his face. Sophie turned on Evan, her sweet mask finally shattering into outright fury. "You idiot! You said it was foolproof. You said she was weak." She clutched her stomach, not with tenderness now, but with a kind of terror. "What about us? What about the baby?" Evan had no answer for her. He was staring at the void his life had just become. I stood collecting my phone. The drama around me felt distant, like watching a poorly staged play. I had seen the truth under the table. Now everyone else could see the truth of him. "The divorce papers will be delivered to you at the hotel where you'll be staying tonight," I said to Evan, my voice carrying over the din. "I've been generous enough to book you a room for a week. Consider it a final gift. After that, you're on your own." I walked toward the door, pausing only to place a gentle hand on Arthur's frail shoulder. He had been kind to me once. "I'm sorry it came to this, Arthur. The actions are against your grandson, not you. Your personal holdings are untouched." I didn't look back at Sophie's tear-streaked rage or Evan's shell-shocked despair. I walked out of the estate, the cool evening air a cleansing balm. My driver held the car door open. "Where to, Miss Yates?" I slid into the quiet luxury of the back seat, the silence a profound relief after the cacophony of betrayal. Through the window, I saw the first news vans pulling up to the Ellis estate gate, their lights painting the dusk in stark, urgent flashes. "Home," I said, and as the car pulled away, leaving the crumbling ruin of my old life in the rearview mirror, I finally allowed myself to feel it. Not the sharp pain of betrayal, but the quiet, steady hum of a future reclaimed. The game was over. I had not just won, I had dismantled the board. 6 months later, the final gavel fell in a quiet courtroom. It was an echo of a conclusion already written, a mere formality. Evan Ellis signed the dissolution of our marriage with a hand that trembled not from emotion, but from the exhaustion of a man who had lost everything in the public eye. He left with the clothes on his back and the debts he had hidden, a phantom of the ambitious man I'd once loved. The Ellis Corporation, a hollow shell of inflated promises, was absorbed into the Yates Group holdings. Its assets were liquidated to pay creditors, its name retired to the archives of financial scandal. I did not attend the hearing. My lawyer, a serene woman in a tailored suit, sent me a photograph of Evan's signature. It was jagged, desperate. I deleted the image. Sophie's story unraveled with a quieter, more profound cruelty. The baby was born early, a small boy. The DNA test, subpoenaed for the civil suit, confirmed Evan's paternity. It also confirmed the presence of a controlled substance in Sophie's system at the time of my discovery at the bar. Her parental rights were terminated before she even left the hospital. The child was placed into the foster system, a tiny, innocent casualty in a war he never asked for. I heard through the cold, efficient channels of my legal team that Sophie moved to a different city, her name tarnished, her pride shattered. I felt nothing for her. Empathy had burned away that night at the bar, leaving only cold ash. My own life did not so much restart as recalibrate to its original frequency. The penthouse was sold, its minimalist decor holding too many ghosts. I moved into a sun-drenched loft that overlooked the river, a space filled with art I chose for myself, with books that had no history. I took a more active role in the family foundation, channeling capital toward women's shelters and legal aid funds. It was productive. It was peaceful. One afternoon, I found myself sorting through a box of old college memorabilia. There, faded and smiling from a Polaroid, was the three of us, Evan, Sophie, and me, arms slung around each other's shoulders after some forgotten exam. Our faces were bright, with a future we believed was shared. I studied it, waiting for the ache, the rage, the regret. It did not come. They were just strangers now, characters from a book I had closed. The doorbell rang. It was a delivery, a small, mature lemon tree in a glazed ceramic pot, a gift from the head of the legal department. The card read simply, "For new beginnings." I set it on the wide terrace where the sunlight was strongest. That evening, I poured a glass of wine and sat beside it. The city lights shimmered on the water below, a constellation of quiet, independent lives. I thought of the tangled legs under the table, the whispered confession in the bar, the public unraveling in Arthur's dining room. It felt like a play I had watched from the audience, a tragedy about people I never really knew. The lemon tree had one perfect, ripe fruit. I reached out, plucked it, and held it in my palm. It was firm, bright, unblemished. The scent that burst from its skin was sharp and clean, a promise of something both tart and sustaining. I went inside, the fruit still cool and heavy in my hand. The quiet of the loft wrapped around me, but it was no longer an emptiness that echoed with loss. It was a fullness of my own choosing, calm and deliberate, untouched by anyone else's expectations. I set the lemon down on the marble counter and sliced it cleanly in half, the scent rising sharp and fresh as the juice spilled out, a vivid yellow against the flawless white stone. There was no one to pass it to now, no one waiting across the table, no performance to maintain, no smiles to rehearse, no lies to swallow. There was only the simple, grounding act of taking what was mine, of claiming a moment that belonged to me alone, and savoring its distinct, unequivocal flavor without apology. The future no longer felt like a wound that needed time to heal. It stretched out before me like a horizon, clear, open, and entirely mine. I lifted the glass to my lips and took a slow sip. The taste was perfectly, unforgettably sharp. It cut clean, honest, and awake. It was the taste of truth. And it was enough.